Hey, welcome everyone to these all-in training sessions. My name is Jason Sniff, one of the pastors of small groups here at Eastview, and I'll be your host throughout all of these training sessions. And every week we're gonna have a special guest. Today we have Stuart, and I'll introduce him a little bit more in just a moment. But let me set the stage for what these training sessions are all for. So All In is phase one of our Love McLean County vision. And this series, called All In, is designed to launch us into this loving and serving initiative. And so over the next 5 sessions, we're literally gonna be challenged to move our faith into action and to truly love and serve our communities. And so if you live within McLean County, that means here. If you're joining us online and you're in another county, that means you're gonna learn to love your county. And our goal for you is for this, your small group, your family, to define its mission and to create an action plan to live it out in whatever county you live in. We wanna do these in practical, intangible ways. We literally want to start a mission. And so we're gonna get to that. That's what week 5 is about. But for today, we need to focus in on one thing, which is identifying your places. And you guys know this, but we put values on many different things for many different reasons. So think about it for just a moment. We value time. We value people. We value different things. We value causes. There are even spaces and places that we put a lot of value on. And then we try to fit it all in to this thing called life. But here's the thing, with Love McLean County, that brings us to an intersection of decisions. Are those top places, are they transactional or are they relational in nature? Like when you allot time to those particular places, are you doing it for yourself or are you doing it for other people? And so that's what our challenge is. That's the tension, is that we want to actively and intentionally move us from places of transaction to places of relation. So here's what that means real quick. A transactional place literally is you're going to exchange something for something else. When we go shopping, when we go to the grocery store, we're literally exchanging money for goods, right? Or if you go to the doctor, you're exchanging something because you want to get healthy along the way. But Love McLean is literally telling us to shift that focus out towards something more relational. Hopefully that will make sense as we move forward. There are really 2 major questions that come to mind. The first one is, okay, how do I define a place? And then the second question is, what do I do when I'm there? Stuart's gonna answer that in just a minute, right? But let's get to that first question. How do I define my 3 places? And so real quick, I want you to take a look at your regular rhythms, your reoccurring routines. Think about this in 3 categories. Here's the first one, daily. What are the places that you engage with on a daily or multiple times a week kind of basis? That's the first category. The second category is weekly. What are the places that you engage with on a weekly basis? And the third category is monthly. What are the places that you just occasionally visit? I mention all of these because any of them can provide one of your top 3 places. So like for me, for example, here are my 3 places right now. My family. That's a daily, sometimes a moment by moment kind of thing, right?
Yes.
That's a daily place. It matters that my family has a priority of relationship. The second place is the place that our kids go to school. For sure, that's a weekly thing. Often it's a daily thing as well. But there are intentional ways that we could pour in to people around us at the school that our kids go to. And then the third place is my neighborhood. Sometimes this is a weekly thing and occasionally it's a monthly thing, but there are some people that I interact with that I know I can move more into the relational kind of category. So for you, we're really asking you to start thinking about places. What are the places and how you can elevate those into a relational mindset? So that's a way to define it, those 3 categories. Stuart, the question is, what do we do? How do we engage with this along the way? You got any ideas?
I think we had broken it down into 3 things: be intentional, be hospitable, and then be helpful. And what those come back to me, I actually worked at Disney World back in 2000, so I was 18 years old. And I would say they did this very well. Like you were taught to seek guests out. And that was the mission of them. And so in our mindset, that's very much what we should be doing. Like this is our mission field. We should be seeking out people, looking for those moments where we can be hospitable, see needs that need to be met, areas in which we can serve. We're intentional about that. We're hospitable. And then what are the places in which we see the needs where we know we can provide a service, a prayer, or help in some way?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so you're saying what? Be intentional.
Be intentional. Be hospitable.
Yep.
And then be helpful.
Be helpful. Yeah, those are good. You could even write those down if you want, right? But
in your book. Yes.
Yeah, in the book, though. We'll talk more about that in just a minute. But you guys, you have a very specific story that we know about, right? But I'd love for you to just kind of share this a little bit. Your group has a place, right? So what is that place and how did you guys define that?
Okay, yeah. So our place is Grove Elementary School. And how we came to decide upon that, 3 families in our small group all are Grove Elementary families.
Nice.
And we ended up landing on that as being one of our places as a small group, as a place where we can love and serve.
Yeah. And I think there might even be a backstory in the midst of that too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, do you mind sharing that real quick?
Yeah. So I would be what you would consider a, I don't want to say a typical dad, but I'm that dad that if I have to call into the school, it's like, it's a nightmare. And I'm doing it on voicemail where they give you the list of things that you need to do. And I'm typically the one that's sitting there looking at my kid like, who's your teacher? What's your teacher's name? Quick, I need that information now. And my wife asked me to go to an IEP meeting by myself. And so she was on vacation and she's like, you got this, you can do this. Like, and I'm just sitting there like, I'm not the person. Like, this is not going to be on voicemail. This is going to be in person. And as this IEP meeting is going on, it's the principal, it's the speech teacher, and my son's teacher. I just have this feeling, the Holy Spirit is telling me at the end of this meeting, you should pray. And my gut reaction was to say no. And I don't say that as, that's something that I'm not proud about, but that was my initial reaction. It was like, I'll pray.
Honest,
How about after the phone call? After the phone call, I will pray for the school, these teachers, the principal. And that inkling did not go away. That nudge from the Holy Spirit did not dissipate. And so at the end of the IEP meeting, they asked, do you have any questions for us? And I just said, I only have one. Can I pray for you? And when I did that, I allowed the Holy Spirit to speak in and through me. And that prayer led to an invitation. And what I didn't know was on Monday morning, the teachers, some of the teachers at Grove gather together before the school week starts, and they invited me to come and be a part of that prayer. And so the next Monday morning, I went and had an opportunity to pray over the teachers at Grove. And I come home, and my wife was reading this book by Kyle Idleman. It's One at a Time, and one of the chapters in there is throw a party.
Okay.
And I came home and she had just read this and she's like, we need to throw a party for the teachers. And that's ultimately, so me just being obedient with the conviction to pray led to being invited to a prayer, which then led ultimately to my wife having an awesome idea of throwing a party.
Yeah. That's awesome. So you guys have a place. It's a cool story how you got there, right?
Yeah.
You just stepped into something that felt awkward, right? You've kind of mentioned how you're loving and serving right now.
Yeah.
So do you have any advice for all of us? Like, we're beginning this journey.
Yeah.
And ultimately we want to define some places, right? So what advice do you have for folks that are trying to do that?
Well, when we go back to throwing the party, like that sounded like something big. And it sounded like, okay, well, there's a lot of moving parts to this. But what we didn't realize was just how much people wanted to do this stuff. So we reached out to our small group and we said, hey, we have this idea. Our small group is in. They're like, let's get more people. Like, there are more people at Eastview who attend Grove. And so they started giving us names. We started collecting money. We ended up raising enough to throw, we catered Moe's for lunch for the teachers that day. And we actually had enough. I mean, people were bringing in snacks. We had water. We had people sign up to like just be in the room to thank the teachers when they walked in. And all these things were possible because people just stepped up. Like, we set some ideas out and people just ran with it. And that was really cool.
Yeah.
Ultimately, we ended up raising enough money. We had extra gift cards available for the teachers. So they did a drawing and we had gift cards for coffee and lunches. And all these things were just so simple, like people wanted to help. And so my question that I come to, there's a quote from this book. And so your question was, how do we get rolling with this? And I came to this prayer that Kyle Idleman said, instead of praying, God, do something through me, pray, God, do something in me. And I think that's the best place that we can start as a small group, is just instead of saying like, God, what do you have planned for, like what you want us to do, what you want to do through us, but God, what do you want to do in me? And let's start there.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. It's such a amazing story of just being, like you said, be intentional, right? Be hospitable, be helpful. Along the way, you guys have changed.
Absolutely.
Right? And we just know this. As you kind of begin this journey of all in, and as you begin to think about what's it going to look like for us to love and serve within our county, this is going to happen, right? Not only are you going to find opportunities, but you're going to find that you're going to grow intentionally along the way. That's our goal for all of us, right? So here's some next steps as we begin to wrap up. This week, we want you to literally choose 3 places that you're going to engage with, that you're going to elevate to the top, and you're going to say, I'm going to ask for this to become more relational in nature along the way. You hopefully have your booklet, your all-in booklet. If not, you can grab these at the church, or there's some digital versions at eastviewresources.com that you can use. But there's a space, I believe it's on page 6, that you can just write down 3 places. That's what we want you to do. We want you to focus some of your small group time and pray over those places, that the Holy Spirit will bring intentional opportunities for you to engage with the people around you. You never know, it might end up like your guys' story,
Absolutely.
right? But every little act of obedience is going to move us forward in this way. So we're super excited for that. Hey, as a quick note, all of our resources are on eastviewresources.com. And our ultimate goal, like I said at the very beginning, is that by week 5, we're going to have you define as a group how you're going to go after it. So I love that you shared your story, because it's an example of what we want to see happen in all of our small groups along the way. But for today, our next step, define your individual 3 places. Guys, thanks so much for being with us. We're super excited for this journey of going all in. And until next time, we'll see you soon.